Hey, it's Don Skaggs with Empowered Inventing, where we help you to take your great idea, your great innovation, and turn them into real things like products and businesses. So, I want to talk to you about today about what we call, and if you've seen very many of these videos, if you've heard me speak, if you've been to any of our meetings or workshops or attended any of our classes, you've probably heard about a term that we use around here called the Frankentype. And so, give you a little background. Let's just say you're out there and you were tinking in your garage or your workshop or your attic, basement maybe, and then suddenly Eureka struck. And you're like, maybe you even thought of that scene from the old Frankenstein movie where he goes, "It's alive! It's alive!" And that's what we mean by the Frankentype. You may have built one already and you don't even know it. This is the prototype where you have snuck out into the graveyard of broken products and spare parts. You've used glue sticks and duct tape. And you have put this all together with blood, sweat, and the ideas that just struck you in the middle of the night. This is what we call a Frankentype. The results are a prototype that only an inventor could love. But you've taken that first important step of prototyping the right way. You've built it, you've proven it that it works, and that most importantly, you have not spent a lot of money. Now, I had a guy one time come to us, and I've had this happen with a lot of different people before, and they'll say, "Well, Don, I've got somebody that's going to build me my first prototype, and it's only going to cost me $4,000. And I always tell them the same thing. I always say, listen, do not spend that kind of money on a first prototype. No, 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 no. Why? Because you have it in your head. Maybe you've written it all down, but you've not tested it in real world, 3D, physical, real life stuff yet. And the things that you put down on paper and the things that you think in your head can be two different things. I don't know how many prototypes I've built. When I built a first prototype and got it built and then set it down and looked at it and gone, I didn't think it was going to do that. I didn't think it wasn't going to do that. I was just sure it was going to do this. And you're like, oh gosh, okay, well, now I've got to start over. Or now I've got to tear this piece apart and put something else on here. Or now I've just got to start completely over. I had one time where I was just like working on this thing and working on this thing, and it was trying to work, and then I saw over in the corner of the garage, I was actually doing this in my garage, and I looked over in the corner, and there was just this old piece of junk that was sitting in the corner. And I looked at it and I thought, And I wouldn't have had that moment had I not looked across the garage, but had I not been working on something first that was failing. So I was working on this and I'm thinking, oh gosh, this just, when I saw it in my head, it was working perfect. It was cartoon logic. It'll work great in a cartoon, but not in real life. And so you're building this thing and it's not working, and I see this piece of junk and I thought, maybe that might really work. So I take actually saran wrap and tape, and this part actually works, and it made it actually work. It made it work very, very well, as a matter of fact. So that's what I mean when I'm talking about a Frankentype. You're just taking all these pieces, but you're doing it cheap because it's going to fail. And you're going to rebuild it again, it's going to fail again. And you don't know how many iterations you're going to have, but there's usually going to be a lot of them before you finally get that functionality going and it's just working perfectly. But if you spent $20 on each one of these prototypes, each one of these Frankentypes, and you've had to do 10, you spent $200. If you spend $5,000 on your first prototype and every one after that, if you're doing 10 of those, that's $50,000. How many times do you want to make that expensive of a mistake? That's why we say Frankentypes are important for the first part of the prototyping process. You do that first. You get that Frankentype just all humming and it's working. You've got that functionality. Then it's time to pretty up and make what we call the demo type, the one that you would actually show to other people. They have two different functions. The Frankentype proves it, shows you that it will actually work. A demo type will show other people how it works. So If you've got a great idea and haven't built it yet, you're going to want to make your first one a Frankentype, because you're going to have to expect failures. Failures are going to happen. Those first prototypes are, if they're expensive, then the mistakes are going to be expensive. And the one thing you have to keep in mind, whether it's a prototype or you're protecting your idea, or whatever it is you're doing, you have to make the fails cheap. The most amount of failures you're typically going to have are going to be in the first part of the startup, or the first part of the invention, the first part of the development stage. That's where the majority of your failures are probably going to be. So you want those failures to be as cheap as possible. That's going to be a much cheaper education for you. So Frankentype is going to help you do two things. It's going to be a low-cost way for you to understand your product's functionality and prepare you to make its prettier cousin, the demo type. So this is the one where you're going to start a whole new iterative process, and we're going to talk about that in another video, where you're actually, it's going to be a fail, pass, fail with the marketplace instead of functionality with you. So if you want to help learn the right steps, check out our website, empoweredinventing.com. I'm Don Skaggs, and I hope these are helpful. Please be sure and subscribe. Click that notification bell, and I will look to see you at the next meeting, workshop, class, or on the next video.